Welcome to the second episode of the I've Created a Monster podcast. I am Rushni Cope. Okay. I am a content creator. I am a life coach, and I am at Glamazzini out here in these internet streets. This podcast is a place for me to share my unfiltered thoughts, my observations, my personal musings, etc., etc. All right. I am live right now on Instagram. Hey, Instagram. As usual, Instagram is going to get to see me do the beginning of the podcast live, and then I'm going to shut you guys off. If you want to do the whole thing, you got to become a patron because I'm also live on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Patreon, with my patrons live in the chat. And guess what? This week, you guys, Patreon, I have the YouTube app open too, so I don't get got. I don't know what's going on, but the third-party application that I use, which is StreamYard, works perfectly fine at all times, except apparently when I'm taping this podcast, because I can see the first set of comments that you guys have dropped in the chat, but then I can't see it anywhere else. So I have it open so I don't get got. Okay. So today we're talking about a lot of fun things. I'm going to give you the quickest update on my son. I'm going to tell you all about my coaching certification real quick. Not all of it, a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit about that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the last episode and how that went down. And then I might go into some like election conversation. Even like some of the propositions that are on the ballot right now in Missouri that have me thinking thoughts. And then there's one more thing I want to talk about. I might get to it, I might not, because I don't want to be here all day. Okay, so if you're interested in that, stick around Instagram. You guys get to hear the beginning of that. You're not going to get the most juicy version of it. And of course, Patreon, you are going to get the real deal Holyfield. First of all, let me give you guys the quickest update on my son. And if you want all the juicy details on what happened with my son and his hospital stay, et cetera, you have to go back and you have to listen to the first episode, right? The first episode, because that was basically what I covered. But the update is my son is healing amazingly. I actually got a little discouraged recently because his surgery wound is healing exquisitely. But we are developing a little pressure sore on his side. And we had a pressure sore last year when he broke his leg, and it took months to heal. And so, of course, I don't like new problems, because who wants new problems, right? So that kind of discouraged me. However, I take pictures of his surgery wound when the dressings are off and I have to redo them. So I actually did a side-by-side of his surgery wound from a week and a half ago and from his last bath. And the progress is amazing. So doing the side-by-side of his actual back surgery wound actually encouraged me a lot. And I have appointments coming up on Thursday with a couple of the teams, including the wound care team, so that I can get the new pressure sore situation situated. Okay. Beyond that, everything's going well. He's down there living his best life. We still are not cleared for him to start school again. But when we start, the intention is to start it virtual, which is what we've been doing. Y'all, we still on virtual school over here. Anyway, one thing at a time. So the intention is to start it virtual, to do it virtual, and then to move on eventually when he can go back to school. But we're not there yet. So that's the update on my son, you guys. He's doing really, really well. Okay, the next thing I want to update you on is why I'm wearing this headband. So I am going, surprise, surprise, I'm going to wear a headband every single week. Okay, let me give Instagram a good look at this. Okay, let me give YouTube. I'm only sad that the tip of my ears is not in the frame. I tried to, let me see. Okay, so if you go to my Instagram and my Facebook and my YouTube community tab of Glamazzini, not the Monster Creative page, you will see that, well, I can drop it on the Monster Creative page after this. You will see that for Halloween, I was a pineapple bunny. Okay, a pineapple bunny. Yeah. And the reason why I was a pineapple bunny, because when I was in the hospital, and my son and I, we were all in there, like just biding the time between surgeries, we were having a lot of conversations. I think we were annoying him talking because he couldn't talk at one point. But when he got his talker back, okay, I was throwing out all these great Halloween costume ideas and he was vetoing every single one of them. Okay. I was like, we should be the characters from Inside Out and we should be rock, paper, scissors. And I don't even remember the rest of them, but whatever they were amazing. Okay. They were amazing. And he was like, no, 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 no. And because I love my son and because Halloween is 100% because of the kid, right? Like, I like Halloween, but I like being creative on Halloween and dressing up. I don't like Halloween necessarily. Like, I do it for my son. I do it for love. Okay. So I let him pick the costumes. He decided one day he wanted to be a pink bunny. The man liked pink. Okay. I had a woman one time ask me why it is that I'm always like making my son dress effeminate. And I'm just like, my son is a preteen. He picks his own clothes. Just because my son has developmental delays doesn't mean that I'm dressing him that way. He literally picks his own clothes. Okay. So he decided he wanted to be a pink bunny. Who is me to judge? Okay. So I said, fine. And he was like, y'all should be bunnies too. And I was like, okay, fine. But do we have to be like your run of the mill bunny or can we pick our own bunny? You know, it's like pick your own bunny adventure, pick your own bunny extravaganza, basically. And he was like, fine, pick your own bunny. So I my husband went with a ninja bunny. And if you want to see the picture, you have to go to my Instagram at Glamazzini or my Facebook at Glamazzini. Okay. And it's also on the YouTube community tab. Why can't community is whooping my tail today? Let me drink something on that. The words aren't coming out. Community tab for at Glamazzini. Okay. And of course I went with a pineapple bunny because duh. I mean, if you're on YouTube, look behind me. And if you're not on YouTube and somehow you're new to this platform with me, I'm obsessed with pineapples. Okay. Now, the good news is I barely had to buy anything to do my costume because I already owned 99% of what I had on. The only thing I bought was these ears and I had a bunny tail. It came in a package, okay, with a package deal. So that's why I'm wearing these today to commemorate the fact that we were a bunny family. Okay. We were a bunny family on Halloween and in honor of the monster that I'm creating and I'm telling you guys to create, I will be wearing headbands every single time. Okay. And it's a bunny kind of thing. All right. Mel said in the comments on YouTube that pink was used for baby boys originally. Exactly. The color pink. First of all this stuff is made up, you guys. It's all made up. The color pink was used because red is considered a powerful and masculine color, and pink to them was a diluted version of red, which was for boys. So it wasn't until later in our social situation that pink became attributed to girls. Clearly, my son don't care about that. The man's favorite color is pink and purple. And I allow my son to live his best life. Okay. I don't tell my son who he is supposed to be. I let my son show me who he is. And then I encourage that. If you don't want to do that with your kid, then don't do it with your kid. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay. The man have enough going on in his life as it is. That's my son. And if you're on YouTube, you can see my face. And if you're on Instagram, the man have enough going on in his life as it is for me to come and tell him who he's supposed to be. Anyway, focus, Rashni. Another wonderful thing I want to share with you guys is I am officially a certified life coach. As of an hour and a half ago, we had the graduation, which was an online graduation. It wasn't like a whole big thing. However, my accountability partner in the program, where we've been doing the program together since almost the beginning, she and I were in another chat, sending each other gifts and congratulating ourselves and whatever. So an hour and a half ago, I officially graduated from my year-long coaching certification program. And I am now officially A certified life coach. Blue Isis in the chat on YouTube says, congratulations, certified integrated coach Rushni. That's right. The integrated is all of the parts, right? We are a spirit, I believe. I'm not saying I know this to be true because what do I know? But I believe we are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. And the integrated is coaching all the parts together. Okay? Coaching all the parts together. Thank you, Coco Cherie on Instagram for the congratulations. Thank you very much. So your girl is an integrated life coach, certified. Okay. Apparently I'm supposed to be getting a certification, like a certificate, like a physical certificate. I don't know how this thing does go. Okay. Which is wild because do you guys display your diplomas and certificates? Because I don't. Should I? I totally should. You guys, I have diplomas downstairs just on I should. You know, I never really thought about that. Anyway, I think I'm going to get an actual certificate to show that I did it. And you know what? Maybe you guys might see that somewhere. Because why not? You know, your girl put her back into it. Okay, you could do it, put your back into it. You could do it, put your back into it. Anyway, I put my back into it. All right. I had the year that I had. And I still finished what I finished. Okay. That's that. Blue Isis says her college diplomas are framed. My college diploma is still downstairs in the like cushy big folder thing they gave me. Mel says hers are framed too. Okay, well, I need to get together because I've been out of college the same amount of time. I've been out of college for 20 something years. I don't even want to do the math. No, let's do the math. Let's do it, you guys. Let's do it. 2024 minus, when did I graduate? 1997. 27 years. I've been out of college. 20. Whoa. Oh my God. Whoa. I see your question on Instagram, Coco Cherie, but give me a second. Give me a second to process the aggressive attack that this calculator just did to me. Wow. I can't even. 27 years I've been out of college. Wow. Whoa. Wow. Anywho, that's a thing that's happening. Okay. Coco Cherie asked on Instagram, when and where are we booking sessions? Coco Cherie, I'm glad that you asked. You can book sessions with me right now at thepineapplecrowns.com on Instagram, since that's where you are. The link is in my Instagram bio. The only thing that you can book at this moment is become a member in the group membership or enroll in the December virtual planning retreat that's happening December 13th through the 20th. Okay. One-on-one packages are starting next year. So go out there, join the mailing list, become a member if you want to work with me as a coach right now in a group setting. And there's a lot of other things you get with it. And if you want to do one-on-one, that's coming next year. Okay, that's coming next year. Your girl is working on it. Amen. Ayana GB on Instagram says hers are framed too. Well, apparently everybody got their stuff framed except me. So I need to get with the program. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is, Quincy Jones passed away today at 91 years old. And I'm not going to talk about this long, but sometimes you have to marvel at the life that somebody lived. Like, you ever think about that? Quincy Jones us. Blue Isis, you said what? You didn't see that he passed away? Yeah, girl. Quincy gone, girl. Quincy done gone. 91 years old. And Quincy Jones came here and Quincy Jones us. Oh, I'm sorry, Blue Isis. I didn't mean to be the one to tell you, boo-boo. You know, that's the thing. Back in the day, we assumed that we had to like approach a lot of these things with like delicacy. Delicacy? Is that a word that you use beyond food? Y'all know what I mean. In a delicate fashion. But unfortunately, the way social media is, we often make these assumptions that everybody has seen everything. So I'm sorry to break it to you, boo-boo. But the legend, the icon, okay? The pillar of musical and business accomplishment, Quincy Jones passed away today at 91 years old. And sometimes when I watch certain people's life, I'm like, wow, what in the world? I was going to sit here and read off all his accomplishments, but I want to talk about some other stuff. But I just wanted to give props to Quincy Jones. Now, the other thing that I think is an amazing accomplishment is in the year of our Lord 2024, it is not uncommon to hear, a person's name, especially an older male person's name. And then right after that, hear some foolishness that they were attached to. I personally don't know any scandals. I don't know any scandals Quincy was in. I mean, I'm not saying the man was perfect. I'm sure he misspoke. And if there is a scandal, I'm sure one of y'all gonna let me know. Okay, about the scandal that he was in. But to make it that long in the industry, and it's impressive. I'm just gonna say it's impressive. Okay, so he not only did he add so much to us, and he Quincy Jones us. I'm making a verb out of the man's name. Okay, the man Quincy Jones us. But yeah, he passed away today. So rest in peace to Quincy Jones. Okay, rest in peace to Quincy Jones. Question: what did you wear for Halloween? Are you a person that dresses up for Halloween? And if you are a Halloween dresser upper, what did you wear? This year on TikTok, some of my favorite costumes were the costumes that people did based off of memes and or viral videos on TikTok. So like costumes that were very specific to being on TikTok. Like they would recreate memes and then make their costumes out of it. I had a blast. The past few days, I was just giggling at all of the different costumes people came up with. As I told you, I was a pineapple bunny because obviously my son said we had to be bunnies. And like, duh. But yeah, the one costume that I wanted to bring up that really disturbed something in my head, a little bit the way that the Nutter Butter account on TikTok has become entirely unhinged at this point, and really makes me contemplate what's going on in the world, is Heidi Klum's costume. Did y'all see Heidi Klum? Well, first of all, let me say this. Jill Biden came out of the White House holding the president's hand dressed like a whole flipping panda. A whole panda. Not essence of panda, not suggestion of panda, not a panda shirt, but very regal. This woman came out in a full out panda costume. Joe Biden came out the door holding a panda's hand. When I tell you that's the kind of shenanigans that I'm here for. Because if I was the first lady, y'all already know. It wouldn't have taken Joe's 2-week notice for me to show up dressed like a pineapple to something. Because Joe is acting like that person that put in their 2 weeks notice and he don't care no more. And when I tell you Jill showed up as a whole panda, and I was here for it. That I support that kind of behavior. I support that kind of behavior. Ayana GB on Instagram said, "Did I see the man in the rat costume dragging the pizza up the stairs in the subway?" No, I did not. But I can envision it. Heidi Klum said, I watched the interview of her in the costume. Heidi Klum said she wanted to do a collaborative costume this year, right? Where there were a lot of people involved. And when she's talking, she's standing there looking like I don't even know what looking like something from The Fifth Element is what Heidi Klum is looking like. Looking crazy, talking to them on this microphone. And I'm just like, I don't know what her costume is. Then she stands back, y'all. And there are, I don't know how many, I didn't count them, but let's just say there are 8 other human beings dressed up as peacock feathers. And she stands in the middle of them and she's a peacock. Heidi Klum dressed up as a plucked peacock. Sorry. Heidi Klum dressed up as a plucked peacock and then employed many other people to be individual feathers in her costume. You can't make this up. Now, apparently, this is how she be doing, and I have not been privy to her previous costume choices. So apparently, the way her mind works, we will never understand it. Okay. If you want to see how Heidi Klum's mind is working, you need to go to the Nutter Butter account on TikTok, and then that'll give you a little bit of a clue of what's going on in there. The world may never know. Okay. Like, how many licks does it take to make it to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? All right. And you have to be out of college 27 years to get that one. The world may never know. Okay. She dressed up as the plucked body of the peacock and employed other people to be the feathers. And then her husband dressed up as an egg. Not a peacock egg, not a Fabergé egg. Her husband dressed up as just an egg, a whole blasted body egg, a whole body egg. And she said the inspiration for his costume was they have a lamp or like a chandelier that has Easter eggs in it in their house, which makes me wonder what the inside of their house is looking like. Because if this is what's coming out in the Halloween costume situation, the inside of the house probably looking crazy. Okay. It's probably looking like some kind of fun house threw up. She said they got a lamp, a chandelier with Easter eggs on it. She looked up at the Easter eggs one day and she said, honey, you should be an egg. And I mean, now, granted, who is me to judge? Okay, because I like pineapples. And if given the resources and the funding, I cannot guarantee to you guys that I would not show up in extravagant weirdness as well. Okay, so I don't know if I think Heidi is off her rockers or if I think she's brilliant and I'm jealous. Okay, let's go to the comments. Ayana GB says she always goes big, but that is money, money. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And Blue Isis said, you must have seen her previous year because her costumes are chef kiss. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I can't say nothing about Heidi because if this is me without the money, I'm sitting here. I didn't even show y'all. I'm wearing pineapple earrings because for my pineapple bunny costume, I put these on as like a little Easter egg. And let me tell you what, I probably own 12 pairs of pineapple earrings because everybody gives me pineapple earrings. I don't even think I've ever bought a pair of pineapple earrings, and I probably own 12 pairs. People just give them to me. So many things behind me that people think I'm buying myself. No, people just give them to me. Okay. But if I have money, because this is me without money. Okay. This is me without money. This is me on the internet talking to y'all with bunny ears on my head that match the pineapple costume, pineapple earrings in my ear, and abundance of pineapples behind me in the shot if you're watching the video. And these are the choices I'm making with limited funds and resources. So if I had the funds and resources that Heidi has, I can't even say I wouldn't be doing the same thing. I can't say it. I can't say it, y'all. Okay, Mel says I usually do something extra for Halloween. This year she took a bunch of her husband's promotional stuff from work and was the Ditz and Walston deli worker? Okay, I don't know what that is. Is that from a show that I don't watch? Let me tell y'all something. If y'all talk to me on this podcast for much longer, and by the way, Patreon, not Patreon, by the way, Instagram, I'm about to cut you off because Instagram gets to see the beginning and then I go bye-bye, and Patreon gets to hear me talk about elections and abortions. They get to hear me talk about stuff like that live. Good time. Okay. So if you want to join us live, you got to come over to patreon.com/Glamazini and support me. It's a good time over there. Okay. If you want more access to me, if you want to be all up in my business, and if you want to support a Black woman healing, me as well as another person, because I have a fun patreon.com/Glamazini. These words are whooping my tail today. Oh my God. Whooping my whole tail. Whooping my whole tail. Okay, Mel, you have to tell me if that's from a show that I don't watch. I was going to say that, okay, Mel says, it's a brand of deli meats and cheeses. Girl. I'll allow it. Okay, I don't know that brand. I thought you were going to say it's a TV show or a reference from a TV show. And I was like, one thing about me is I don't be watching stuff. The way that I don't be knowing what people talking about on the internet, You know how some old people just hit a certain point and stop changing like their hairstyle, their fashion. It's like they thought they looked their best in 1997 and that's their time and they stopped. So they still wearing the same hairstyle they wore in 1997. It don't evolve. And like some people just stop doing certain things. I kid you not. If y'all only knew how young old I am when it comes to like stuff online and like shows that everybody's watching and I'm not watching. Cause why? Anyway, Instagram. I am about to shut you off. Thank you for joining me live for the second taping of the I've Created a Monster podcast. Okay. And now I'm going to continue talking live to my YouTube patrons who are watching me live on YouTube. So if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/Glamazini. I would love to have at least one more patron today. That would be amazing. You guys hear me say, I am a mom of a son with special needs, and wound care stuff costs money, y'all. Hopefully somebody got 5 on it. If I've ever made you laugh, hopefully you got 5 on it. Okay. So I will see you over there. Thanks for joining me. Oh, you know what? I wanted to give you guys an update on the podcast. So I uploaded the first episode to a new YouTube page, which is at Monster Created. If you are watching this when I post it publicly, go ahead and subscribe to at Monster Created on YouTube. I really would appreciate it. I think I have like 17 subscribers on that page already, which is amazing because that means the page is growing faster than the Glamazini page. What? Okay, y'all want this tea? What's going on? Y'all didn't tell me y'all just wanted me to talk about tea and run my mouth. Okay, I could do that for you. So if you haven't subscribed on YouTube when you are watching this, whether you're a patron, you could go ahead and subscribe right now, Patreon members, so that I have the subscription on this page too. Thank you very much. And if you haven't subscribed and you are watching it when I put it pop out on the internet, go ahead and subscribe to at Monster Created on YouTube. I also put the podcast audio on Spotify for the first time ever. And it seems like it's working. And I did get a comment from Lori. Thank you very much, Lori. I saw your comment. Thank you, my first commenter. And I checked it, but it was a couple days ago. So I haven't really seen if anybody has been listening to it on Spotify. If you are listening to it on Spotify, go ahead and follow me on Spotify. I think that's what you do on Spotify. I have not put up the audio on other platforms yet because I've been busy with doing stuff with my coaching stuff as well as my son. And honestly, I'm confused trying to figure out how to put it up on other platforms, but I'm going to figure that out. And eventually the podcast should be available where podcasts are available, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, wherever else, Stitcher, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know, but I'm learning, I'm growing. And that is what's going on with the first episode. So I'm super excited. And yeah, that's been going really well. Okay. Now, there's a few things I wanted to talk about, but right now I'm going to talk about elections and a couple of these propositions. Okay. A couple of these propositions. Also, I'm in Missouri and, which is pertinent to the election conversation. And we have boom, boom, cack weather happening outside of my window right now. When you live in the Midwest, it is not uncommon for us to have weather systems rolling through. Hopefully this mic is good enough that you're not going to hear that. But if you hear a little bit of something in the background, especially because this is made to be a podcast and the sound is supposed to be, better, that is what you are hearing. Okay. That's what you are hearing. Blue Isis said there's a service that pushes out podcasts to all platforms. I can't remember the name though. Yeah, I believe it used to be Anchor, but Anchor was purchased by Spotify and Spotify for podcasters does not do it. So I can't find such a service. If you do find a service that does it in 2024 at this very moment, please let me know because I believe Anchor used to do it, but I don't think it exists anymore. That's what I could find so far. But if you know of it, whether you are watching live or when I put it up, absolutely let me know. Okay, let's talk about election. First of all, if you are watching this live and you have not voted or you have not registered to vote, register to vote. Go to iwillvote.com and there should be steps there to help you know where you can go, see if you are registered, check things, et cetera, et cetera. It is very important to vote. It's very important to be part of this system that we get to the privilege of existing in. Okay. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, although I could rant about that. Okay. I have my thoughts, and my thoughts are relatively clear out here on the internet. Okay. Me, myself personally, I'm not one of these people that are on the internet talking about, I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to vote for. My vote is my private. I don't have to say that. I'm voting for Kamala. Okay. There is absolutely no way. I have said this in the past before, and I say it with my whole entire chest. Okay. This chest. People on YouTube, you just saw me wiggle my boobs at you. That chest. I'll say it with my whole entire chest. I will vote for a dust bunny before I vote for -45. I will vote for the piece of food that the water pick blows out from between my teeth before I vote for negative. I will vote for these bunny ears that I am wearing. Okay. I will clip a toenail, bury it in my yard, dig it back up next year, and vote for that. Write that in on the ballot before I vote for that man. There's literally I can't listen. I'm sure that there's some situation where you could tell me I would vote for that man, some figurative situation, but not with my thinker. Not in this body, not on this planet, never that. Okay. Do I 100% agree with everything Kamala is about? No, but honestly, I agree with her much more than some of these other jokers I voted for. Okay. Because I sure voted for Biden and I voted for Hillary. Hello. So, I mean, if I got to stack up a vote I put down for Biden and a vote I put down for Kamala. Hello. And a vote I put down for Hillary. Come on now. What are y'all talking about? Now, granted, I want election season to be over. I'm tired. And I am not ignorant enough to think that tomorrow after I go vote, because I haven't gone to vote yet, you guys, I go vote in person. And the reason why I go vote in person is because my polling place is in walking distance. It's dag near around the corner, and it's never super busy. I mean, it's busy, but it's small enough that I can get in and get out. I've never had a problem. I'm not standing in lines forever and ever and ever. So I just choose to roll up during the day. Right? That's how I roll. But I'm not stupid enough I'm not going to say stupid. I'm going to say stupid because this is where I create a monster. I'm saying what I think. Okay. I am not stupid enough to think that tomorrow everything's going to just pipe down and everybody's going to be cool, because no matter who wins, chaos and pandemonium about to pop off. Because after -45 won last time, that was the worst day. I remember I went, I don't even want to talk about it too long, but I went to a PT appointment with my son, and there was a white woman there that was gleeful. She was joyous. She was like, "What's wrong, Rashni? Why you look like that?" And I was shell shocked. Okay. My son was young. I had to take him to a physical therapy appointment, and I was confused that people had actually voted for that man, because I remember I had to watch the RNC back then with wine in my hand, because I was flabbergasted that people were actually going to vote for this man. And so when they did, and she was bouncing off the walls, and if you look, I could not believe what was happening. Also, she was the receptionist. Also, since we're having flashbacks, okay, about our election related traumas, I remember walking around that day and my eyes darting around, wondering who voted. Did you vote for him? Did you vote for him? Did you vote for him? And that was traumatic. Okay, that was traumatic. If somebody was extra happy that day, I just assumed they voted for that man. And it really solidified that we are living in two different realities at times. Because I don't want to go into all of that. Okay, I don't want to go into all of that. Lori said she voted on Saturday for Kamala. Beyonce said, "Facts, I'll join the dance party with Beyonce." Hey, dance party with Beyonce. Wait. What did he say? Kamala is at a dance party with Beyonce. I have a horrible -45 impersonation. There's a Black woman on TikTok that does him so well. It's hilarious. I can't do it. Okay. I can't do it. And Mel says that she voted on Friday. Yeah. After the first time people voted that man into office, everywhere felt unsafe. The whole thing I already felt unsafe. I'm not going to lie. My perceptive reasoning alarms were already going off, but they were just saying the quiet part out loud at this point. I was like, at least you had the common courtesy to shut the hell up with your stupidness. Okay. You got the common courtesy to be stupid in private. Okay. But they just emboldened themselves and jumped out and started saying the crazy parts out loud. Okay. So all of that to say, if this man happens to win tomorrow, which I don't think we're going to know tomorrow because of all the particulars and everything, I feel like tomorrow we're going to go to sleep and we're not going to find out. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Okay. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, when I finally put it up and on audio, we already know what happened. Okay. So hello, people in the future, you already know what's going down. But if this man win, you know how that's going to go because we already lived it. And now we have 8 years in the future for the gloating and the like, just unhealed, murky, trauma-based. I want to say stuff, but no, Rushni, this is not the podcast and I say stuff. Low cognitive functioning. I said it. Version of it that's just going to be like out there. I don't want it. But also, them people ain't going to sit down and be quiet if a black woman up in there, a black Indian woman, they going to cause their own chaos that way too. So both ways, it's kind of exhausting. It's kind of exhausting to think of the outcome both ways. I just want it to be over, if I'm being honest. I just want to, it's just like with my son's surgery season, and they kept moving the surgery date, moving the surgery date. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to see what the freaking outcome is. That's how I feel about elections right now, the election right now. It is November 4th when I am recording this. I just want November 5th to come and go so I could see what's happening next. I want to get to the next part. I want to get to the next chapter. I'm tired. Okay. I'm tired. So that's the first thing. So if you have not voted, or if you have not voted, watching it live, like I said, everybody who is listening to this afterward, if you didn't vote, I don't want to hear about it. I'm judging you, and you can't tell me you can't tell me not to judge you. Now, if you didn't vote because you couldn't vote because you're not eligible to vote, I get that. Okay. But if you didn't vote and you were eligible to vote, I honestly don't want to hear it. There's literally nothing you're going to say to me that's going to make any blasted sense. So just be quiet over there, or at least pontificate your pontifications to another person who care about you and your stupid self. Okay. That's what I have to say about that. Now, here's the thing. Whenever Missouri has their elections, I get a sample ballot in the mail. I love the fact that they do that. I don't even know who's sending me the sample ballot, but I bless them for it. Okay. Because what I do is I go through before the election and I fill out the ballot because I don't want to be in there trying to understand what's going on, especially because they like to make a lot of these amendment suggestions and propositions. They like the wording to be so confusing that you don't know what you're voting on. And I don't have time. Okay. I'm not going to say back in the day, I didn't used to go into the voting booth not super informed. I'm not even ashamed of that. Okay. Because it felt like lighter work back then. But nowadays, with people almost regressing backwards, I don't have time. I need to know what I'm voting on. So I take time and I fill out the little sample ballot and take it with me. Okay. And honestly, I walk in there, I pull out my little sample ballot and I just transfer my stuff to the real ballot and put it in. So right now I already know how I'm voting. I already know who I'm voting for. I already know what my thoughts are on every amendment and every proposition here in Missouri. And let me tell y'all something. Some of these amendments and these proposition things are sneaky AF. They sneaky AF. Okay. Sneaky. Like I said, they like to make it confusing as to what you're voting on. And I don't know why. Maybe, the naive, innocent version of me wants to believe that the reason they do that is because that's how legalese has to sound. But also part of me feels like they're trying to confuse the constituents. Because if I'm in a voting booth and I read some of that stuff, I would have voted a different way, not fully understanding what I was voting on. That's why I like to sit down. I like to do my Googles. I like to read. I like to understand what I'm voting on. And then I like to decide on my vote beforehand. Yeah, Blue Isis says they're intentionally confusing. And she said they're also having voting ballot issues in Georgia. I think I saw that on TikTok too. Yeah, and you're saying you wish that your state would do that. Yeah, I don't know why I get I always get the reminder to vote card. I always get the the sample ballot, and I like to sit down and fill this thing out and know what I know when I'm going in there. Okay. And let me tell y'all something that really scratched my neck. Is that a saying? That's not, what's a saying now? It's a saying now. Okay. It's a saying now. Lori said, I don't think we will have the final vote until later in the week. The orange man is going to put in 500 court cases when he doesn't win. May I say something before I tell y'all about this proposition that's annoying me and really just janks my gibbles? Okay. You know how people call him Mango Mussolini? Don't you dare put Mango's name in that man's thing. Why are y'all dragging Mangoes into this? Mangoes didn't do nothing to you. I get offended for the Mangoes. I'd be mad AF. How dare you? A mango ain't never did nothing to you except love you. A mango ain't never did nothing to you except caress the insides of your mouth. Okay? Make sweet, sweet love to your taste buds. Mangoes should not be implicated in this man's foolishness. Every time I hear somebody say Mango Mussolini, I think to myself, what the hell did a mango do to you? That you got a mango name in your mouth with this stupidity man. I felt that. I'm sorry. I had to get that off of my chest. You didn't say that, Lori, but I felt it when you said orange man. That really bothers me. Listen, y'all could talk about Cheetos if you want to. That's right there. Y'all could call him pumpkin, whatever, cantaloupe or honeydew. Which one is the orange one? You could go there. There's an assortment of fruits and vegetables. Carrot. Yeah, you could go straight with orange, naranja en español. But what the mango do to you? That's what I'm trying to figure out. As an island woman, as a mango lover, as a mango aficionado, okay, as a woman who has had a whole video go viral about how to cut a mango, I really want to put a petition in for y'all to keep the mango name out of your mouth. Sorry. Keep it out your mouth, okay, when you're talking about that man. Don't implicate the mango in this man's foolishness. Anyway, let me talk to y'all about this thing real quick and then let me run off of here. So one of the propositions, I wish I had left the ballot up here to read it to you. One of the propositions in Missouri, in the state of Missouri that I live in right now, that I'm recording this in right now, on November 5th, 2024, in the present, in the reality that we are all living in right now, you guys, in 2024, in Missouri, the state, in the United States, there's a proposition for us to decide. You ready for this? If we are going to allow reproductive rights to be in the hand of the woman and not ban things at the state level. What? What's happening? What's going on? Because in Missouri, it's banned. Remember in 2022, when they reversed Roe versus Wade, and we no longer have a right to certain reproductive care at the federal level, and they basically put it in the state's hands, every state could then decide. So then you had the Wild Wild West, a free for all. And of course, a conservative, mostly red state like Missouri went with the ban, right? Went with the ban specifically for abortions, etc. Okay. And general reproductive care, including things like abortions, right, were banned in the state that I live in. And in the year of our Lord 2024, in November, it is so disorienting. It is so surreal to realize that these are the things that are on our ballots, and we are still having conversations about things that in my mind seem obvious. Now, what I wanted to tell you guys about was my own abortion story. Abortion story, Rashni, did you have an abortion? No, I didn't have an abortion, but I still have an abortion story, and I'm going to share it with you guys right now. Because I think that many times people are trying to govern something in a theoretical space, and women sometimes need to open up their mouth I'm not saying you have to. Keep your business private if you don't have it, because this is a very touchy topic. But I have been helped a lot by listening to stories of women on the internet sharing how these laws either affected them in reality or in practice. Okay. I'm going to share with you something that I was sitting here thinking and being like, what? In 2012, I was pregnant with my son, Zion. Yeah. February 14th of 2012, I went in for my 20-week ultrasound, and I found out that the baby that I was carrying was going to be born with a bunch of medical needs. The doctors recommended that I terminate my pregnancy, which is a fancy way of saying have an abortion. The doctors, multiple doctors suggested, based off of what they were seeing on my son's ultrasound, that I terminate my pregnancy, which is have an abortion, because they did not think my son was going to be a viable birth. They thought he was going to only live past, not even make it 3 days, because they thought he had a genetic abnormality, which he turned out not to have. Okay. The genetic abnormality was going to take him out, according to them. It wasn't there. And even if he didn't have that, they said he was going to be a vegetable, no cognitive functioning, nonverbal, and a whole bunch of other stuff, a partridge in a blasted pear tree. If you've been around me on my Glamazini platforms, you've heard me tell this story before. Yeah. And then after that 20-week ultrasound on February 14th of 2012, for the next 3 weeks, every time I went to the doctor, which was many times, because I had 16 ultrasounds total. That first one was February 14th. 16 ultrasounds after week 20 non-stress tests. So I was in that, and a fetal MRI and a partridge in a pear tree. I had it all. Okay. Them doctors were poking and prodding. And every single time I went in that office, 5 to 6 times in the next 3 weeks, the doctors would give me an opportunity to change my mind and terminate my pregnancy, because I had said I was not going to. Okay. For reasons. I was in shock, yada, yada, bitty, bop, bop, bop. It's a lot. When you are a woman making a decision about terminating a pregnancy, it ain't no joke. I think that people who make these laws think that, I don't know what they think they're doing. I think they think they're trying to govern women who are using abortions as birth control or something. I don't know, if I'm being honest. But there are people like me, people like the women on TikTok who talk about very complex medical things that happened with them, where they almost bled out in a parking lot, or their baby died inside of them and they couldn't go and have the pregnancy terminated, or have a DNC, I think, not DNC. What do you call it? Is it DNC? When they go in and they remove any material that's in there. I don't know the word, but there are very specific reproductive care needs that involve termination of a pregnancy for either saving the life of the mom and or the child, or depending on their developmental level, affecting the life of the mom. There are also traumatic things like young people who are SA'd and get pregnant. And anyway, let me get back to my story. Blue Isis said, yes, a DNC. Okay. So I personally chose not to terminate my pregnancy, not to have an abortion, right? I decided to see what God was going to do, because unbeknownst to most people, I'm out here screaming, Kamala, Kamala, I was relatively conservative-ish. I would have never said I was a Republican, but I would have said I was a Democon. That's what I'm saying. Like I was mostly Democrat with like a little smidge of conservative on the end. Oh, okay. Blue Isis is saying dilatation and curtage. Now, why would you write that and no, I can't say it? I'm trying to have a serious story and you out here having me hooked on phonics. Girl, a DNC. Google it if y'all want to see what it is. Okay. These medical people got me all the way effed up. Anywho, let me go back to my story before Blue Isis tried to embarrass me out here. Okay. On Tabitha Brown internet. So I decided to keep the baby. Okay. Clearly, because he's downstairs right now. He just woke me up before and told me, Mommy, wake up. You have to go do your podcast. Because I told him to wake me up because I was taking a nap with the bunny ears on. The nap had the bunny ears on. Okay. Down at the man's feet, down on the couch. He woke me up. So he's alive. He's downstairs. Okay. I decided to keep him and see what God was going to do. And I was grateful that I got to have that specific decision as an individual person. Blue Isis laughing at me now. Ma'am, let me look in the camera. You knew I wasn't going to be able to read that word. Them words. It's two of them. Because it looks like dilation, but it has an extra TA in there. So how am I supposed to do that? And you already see how the word's been whooping my tail today on this podcast. Don't do it to me in the future. Okay. Don't do it to me. Mel said, that's how I felt I was. I would have said I was a midline with a little Republican sprinkle on top. Yeah, I was like a Democrat. Okay, back in the day. But they have gone so far in a direction that I can't recognize. Where they do that at? What are you talking about? Absolutely not. No, man. What stupidness is this? Anyway, so let me get back to my very, very serious story before I was interrupted by this tongue twister. I decided to keep the baby and I decided to see what God was going to do. And I went through all of the stuff, and every single time I walked in, probably 5 to 6 times in the next 3.5 weeks, they offered me an opportunity to terminate my pregnancy and tried to explain it to me. And every single time I said, no, I will not be doing it. Thank you very much. And I went about my business. However, I have to admit that I was grateful to have the opportunity offered to me, because what if I had changed my mind? That experience specifically gave me personal insight into reproductive health needs and care needs that exist in our medical system, especially if my son was not a viable pregnancy. And what if the poor child had the audacity to leave us inside my stomach? Because non-viable pregnancies, they were telling me that he might not make it. So they were telling me he was not a viable pregnancy, and a child can die inside of you. And he was far enough along. 20 plus weeks is not a miscarriage when you are at like 10 weeks or something low, right? Where it's like a super heavy, uncomfortable period. 20 plus weeks, you need to have that DNC situation. You are giving birth to a baby. You are potentially giving birth to a stillborn. I mean, anyway, okay? So as the story goes, I asked my doctor somewhere in one of those weeks, why do you guys keep asking me, even though I said no? He said, we will keep asking you until the pregnancy is no longer considered like the date that they have to cut off before they can offer a termination, an abortion. And I said, okay. So they kept asking me, and every time I said no. And then when I hit that date, which was like at that time, I don't know what the date is right now. It's 2024. So this was 2012. This was 12 years ago. I think it was 23.5 weeks, if I remember correctly. And then, as the story goes, like I said, some of the things that my son was predicted to have, he has. And we have had a pretty wild ride. And some of them he did not have. Okay. He did not have. Yeah. But here's the thing, y'all. It just dawned on me today when I was looking at that ballot. If I was pregnant with my son right now, the care that was offered to me back then would not have been offered to me, because I live in Missouri, and there wouldn't have been the offer of, you have to terminate this pregnancy because this pregnancy could put your life in danger. Me, Rushni, not some theoretical person out in the world that you thinking of. You're sitting there, you don't have no uterus, you don't have no vagina, you ain't seen a vulva anytime recently, because not only do you not have one, but nobody wants to show you theirs. And if you listen to this on a podcast, I had to stop for effect, okay? But you out here legislating people's cooter cotters. Me, Rushni, nobody would have asked me, if nobody would have offered me the opportunity to choose the level of care that I felt was right for my family and for what was going on in my body. Because I live, not theoretically, in real life, in a state where it is not legal right now to offer me the very same thing that 12 years ago was just considered normal health care. What the entire hell, you guys? What the entire hell? And even though I am a woman who chose to not terminate my pregnancy, I got to choose. I got to choose. And I am in a lot of groups with parents of people who have kids with special needs and people who have made a lot of choices, some similar to mine, clearly, because they still have their kids. Some did not make the choice, but they're still in the groups. I don't judge any person that makes a different choice because, listen, this thing is not easy. Y'all think this is a joke? My doctors told me flat out, Rushni, you are choosing to be a special needs mom if you have this child, and your child has the most serious version of spina bifida. It is not going to go good. They was like, girl, you don't know what you're about to get yourself into. So how in the world can I judge a woman who is pregnant, full of hormones, hoping to have a healthy child, but finding out that she is having an entirely different experience, understanding and believing from her doctors that this child could potentially die inside of her? Because I didn't have that happen, but it was offered to me as a potential thing. And she and or her partner are making decisions for ethical health care that differ from the choice I made. That's how I feel about it. That's the virginaler in me. That's how I felt about reading that. I was about to cuss for real. I haven't decided if I'm going to cuss on this podcast yet. Like cuss for real. I haven't gone there yet. But I felt that come up in my spirit. Okay, remember when Kamala was trying to talk about -45 on the debate? And she was like, this former president. Remember that? That's how I felt just now. I looked at that ballot and I was like, am I on another planet? How are we at the end of 2024 and I'm sitting here about to vote to see if the care that I was offered 12 years ago, I could still get it in the state I live in? What kind of stupid effery is this? Just upset me. Anyway, in closing, I have a blue dress that I'm going to wear to vote tomorrow. It is not royal blue, so it's not like super obvious that I'm trying to like rock, but I assume that everybody in this place that I live assumes that I'm voting Democrat anyway. And the reason why I make that assumption is because I've lived in this very same subdivision since Obama ran for president. And because I've been here for a long time, and I live in a red state in a pink county, right? So I walked to, my husband and I, back when Obama was running, we walked to our polling place. And when we saw our neighbor coming out of the polling place, and they don't live there anymore. They actually just left. Like, they literally sold their house. They've been here with us the longest in our cul-de-sac, and they literally sold their house like 2 months ago. So there's new people over there. But that neighbor was coming out. And then when we came over, he was in his truck and he was already at home, and we had walked over, and that man looked us full in our face and said, I know who you voted for. And yes, he was white, telling two Black people walking from the polling place, I know who you voted for. That's the first thing he felt like he had to say to us. And I said nothing. I just stared at him. And then when he caught himself, he kind of went, right? And said, and then I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, you both have unique hair. You know, he tried, but like I said, low cognitive functioning. So it wasn't exactly the best save in the world. So I assume that living out here, the assumption is that people assume that I'm voting for Kamala, and I am. Okay. And so their assumption is right. Okay. They ain't wrong. They're right. So I got a blue dress in there that I'm aware. It's powder blue though. It's dainty and it's powder blue, so it's not going to be like too ridiculously obvious. I don't think you're allowed to wear political things inside of the polling place, like shirts and hats and all that. I think that's a thing. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm not going to wear any of my, like, I'm speaking Madam Vice President shirts and all that kind of stuff. Although I have a mind to blast Freedom from Beyonce when I pull up on the lot, but I'm not going to do that anywhere. I don't like to incite a riot for no reason. I'm not a person that is finds joy and glee in acting up for no reason. Mel says always that silence is so uncomfortable to them, and asking them what they mean, they can smell the anxiety sweat immediately. LMAO. I have so many stories about interactions like that where I do not return what they think is a jovial little gleeful and instead I just give them a flat-faced WTF look and say nothing, or come back and be like, what do you mean by that? Because they can never tell you what they mean. Because when you flip it back on them and ask them to explain where they're coming from with this ridiculousness, all of a sudden it's like a light shining on them, a mirror reflecting to them their biases and their just inability to grasp that sometimes the best choice is to shut up. Anyway, that's going to wrap up our second episode of the I've Created a Monster podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it if you watched it here live. If you are watching it after the fact, I hope that you voted. If we are in the future, I hope that the country still exists and that we are all learning how to get along, like Rodney King said while they was beating him, after they was beating him. I don't know when he said it, but it ain't happening, Rodney. And I think Rodney passed. I'm not sure. Okay. Hopefully we are doing better than I expected, and they haven't tore this whole thing to the ground. Okay. I am hoping that that is where we are. If you are watching on YouTube and you want to join me live in the chat, become a patron. Support the sponsor of this podcast, okay? Patreon.com/Glamazini. You can support a Black woman healing. You can support another Black woman healing, which is me and another woman who I will give half of my Patreon money to. And you can suggest topics for upcoming podcast episodes. All right, you guys. And so until the next time, show up, speak up, F something up, and create your own monster. Bye, y'all.